Hello, hello, hola, you beautiful beings. Welcome back to Muse, the podcast where we discuss all things creativity, personal growth, and how the two intertwine to help us create with more intention and living a life of purpose. My name is Damaris, an artist and creator, sharing my journey and process of my creative life and lessons that have helped me move through blocks and view my work as something to continue to grow as I grow. We are now in a new month, feeling good, but still in a similar vibe from July, although inspired by the changes that each month brings, including this one. We are now in the second half of the year, and with that, for me, definitely comes a bit of change in how I view and would like to end the rest of the year, and how that kind of plays a role in the way that I'm moving and also thinking more intentionally about what I'm gonna do in this next half of the year. I would like to start off by sharing a little kind of mini announcement. I did start a little book club called Bratty Book Club. For those of you that maybe have been looking for one to join but haven't found one that quite fits yet, I basically created this book club for me. I wanted to have one that was a little bit less pressure, one that's going to keep me accountable to read my physical books that I own, and also to be accountable to somebody else that will also be either reading along or reading their own book. I wanted it to be super low pressure and enjoyable, so you're welcome to follow along in the reading, and if you choose to read the same book as me, that's amazing. Or if you want to just pick your own book and follow along, and we just share what we're reading and how it's going, and just the process of, reading, because we enjoy reading. And I will leave all the info and the links to join in the show notes if you're interested. I'm posting twice a month on Substack, and my first post comes out this week on August 7th. I'm just really excited to be creating something that I've also wanted for myself for a long time, and I've tried to actually start a book club a few times with some friends and family, and it just has never stuck. So it's kind of nice that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this happen whether or not other people really join, and it'll just be fun for me to have that and to share and talk about the books that I'm reading with other people, if you're interested. So I wanted to also do like a little check-in, and I hope that you are all feeling good, having a good week, starting off this month in a good way. For us here in Canada, it is, and specifically in British Columbia, it is a holiday this weekend, so it's a long weekend for us, so it is really nice to have that extra day. Although I'm not working right now, it is nice to be with family and to kind of enjoy a bit of a longer weekend, so it's, good vibes. I feel good. I feel no pressure to, kind of what I was talking about last week, I feel no pressure to push anything still. I'm moving still more slowly and trying to be more intentional about the work that I'm doing, the things that I'm interested in, and how I'm actually moving forward in my creative projects. And I am still working on stuff. It's just a little bit here and there. I think that I've been contemplating a lot lately the idea of sparks, and how do we find creative sparks in our work and with new ideas, because it's something, if you listen to the podcast last week talking about how This season just feels a little bit slower and very different from previous summers and previous seasons where I felt like I was like, go, 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 like production mode and pushing to produce, even though I didn't necessarily have things to produce. It was just like I felt this like push to have to do something. Where now I'm kind of been slowing down, and that's what I talked about last week, about slowing down and really being more intentional about the things that I actually want to do. And this week has brought me, and kind of like moving into August, more about sparks and how do we move through finding creative sparks in our work and in our ideas, and how does that even come about? So let's get into it. What does it actually mean to feel a spark? I mean, it is something that kind of comes out of nowhere, I feel. So you can't make it come up. It kind of just comes to you organically. And I think that as artists, we do try to push towards having those moments and those times of spark and those ideas come up when we want them, when sometimes they don't, which is the difficult struggle and that resistance there. It's not always also a form of like fire or ignition that comes up. Sometimes it's just like a little flicker of curiosity. For me, it's following my intuition. So a sense kind of in my gut, or I get a feeling of like excitement, like a little like, ooh, that's interesting, or ooh, like that sounds like a good idea, or that could be something. And those are the kind of thoughts that go through my mind, which makes me actually think that it's more about that feeling. I think spark is more that feeling of excitement that I should be following over knowing where the spark is leading yet. And like, I feel like sometimes when we have an idea or when we feel this kind of little spark or excitement, we try to really flush it out and try to understand everything at once instead of just sitting and kind of moving into that excitement and being in that mode of like, okay, well, let's create something while I'm excited and while I feel this spark, instead of trying to really like flush out the idea and make it this big thing. And recently, there have been a few ideas that have kind of caught me off guard in this feeling of excitement and this spark. I was working through some content strategies with ChatGPT to create some consistency in my work and how I wanted to show up online and on social media. I just haven't had a lot of that, or I've been trying to be a little bit more intentional about how I'm showing up on social media and the things I really want to be sharing. So working through some of this strategy, which I sometimes find difficult, as trying to like logically and strategically put things together, ChatGPT kind of helps me with that. So I wasn't looking to create something. I was really working on a very like logistical, rational type of work. And somehow the word bratty came up. Like, I don't remember what and how that happened. And then that sparked something. I liked the word and how it would sound together with the word book. And that's how Bratty Book Club came to be. This spark just came up. I wasn't looking to start a book club yet. Like, I really was not in that mentality. It's something that I've wanted, but yeah, it just kind of like came super organically and out of left field, and that excitement. As soon as I said it, Bratty Book Club, I was like, oh, like this is cute. Like this sounds fun, and this sounds like like me, and it sounds like something that could work and something I would want to pursue. And that was really exciting, and that's kind of lit me up a little bit. So that was one spark. The other one was I was trying to come up with some art concepts or ideas of maybe things that I could do and with different materials. I saw this other artist on TikTok from Paris that was sharing her work by making it more accessible to people. She usually does like big installments of work. And so to make it more accessible to different audiences, she was creating and making little postcard sizes of her art. And she would just get you to pay for shipping, and she was shipping it all over the world. And so you're basically getting this postcard size of her beautiful work. I just loved that concept. I loved that she was making small pieces of art. I don't know why, but I mean, I love little tiny things, but like, it wasn't tiny, it was just like a postcard size. But yeah, I was just so excited about this concept. And then there was the way that I found this artist from Paris was through this other artist here in Vancouver who was sharing about her receiving, I guess she had paid for the shipping and she was receiving one of these postcards in the mail, and she was sharing it on TikTok, how she like loved this concept too, and how she got this little piece of art. And it's like, I forget the word. It's not memorabilia. Wow, I can't even say it. Memorabilia. It was like, I think it's euphoria. Oh, ephemera. The word is ephemera. So little ephemera was what she was sharing about her getting this piece of art in the mail. And I was just like, this is so cool. And it inspired me to want to make smaller pieces of art like that, that don't feel so daunting and to make right now. Because I don't really have a studio, I have a small space, I don't have a lot of materials. So I was like, okay, like maybe I could do something like that. And slowly that idea has developed as I've been coming up with more and trying to build out this idea a little bit more to understand what I actually want to create. And it has developed into maybe making a larger body of work, which what that means to me is more like, yeah, I'll make maybe little postcard sizes of pieces. I can make some ceramic pieces. I want to add and work with some textiles and maybe like some thread or like macrame. And I'm just getting really excited because the ideas are coming from a place of wanting to explore more of my heritage, my culture, and my roots, which is something that I've actually wanted to do in the past, especially when I was doing ceramics. I was like, I really want to incorporate more of like my roots and my culture. I just didn't really know how to do that, and I hadn't found a way that was actually inspiring me to create that yet until now. I think having it be a mixed media type of body of work has made it more exciting and more feasible to do. Like, how cool would that be? And so, like, that's kind of the concept that I'm working with. And then I also thought, okay, well, maybe once I'm done, I mean, this is a very slow body of work. Like this, I don't have a timeline for this. This is just like a spark that came, right? I'm not trying to do this by the end of the year. Like that sounds like a lot. I don't even know like how many pieces I would make. This is really just like the very initial stages of ideas. But I'm thinking, okay, eventually once I'm done this body of work that I'm proud of, that I've flushed out, that I've created, maybe I could put on a show which is also something I've been thinking about since, I would say, probably like 5 years. I've wanted to put on a show and create work to put an art show together, or like an exhibition. So this one idea, this one spark has reignited also this other spark that I've had for a long time, and this other concept of my roots and heritage and culture that I've also had for a long time, and brought it together into this new concept and this new idea of the potential of creating a body of work. I don't know, it's just so beautiful when these little things happen, and I'm not pushing. I wasn't pushing to make this, I was just like thinking about it, was contemplating different things. I was inspired by other people's work and the things that they're doing. These ideas just developed, and it's just like so nice to feel things through without pushing them. But going back to, this spark idea and that feeling of being in limbo, which I have been feeling prior to these sparks. I had been feeling definitely more in limbo, more in like this slow waiting season, this slow intentional processing time. And limbo isn't, I wouldn't say limbo is like the opposite of creativity. I think it's the root of, and like the soil of, where creativity comes from. The tension of feeling off or lost as an artist, I think, is part of the process to creating. Because without this time of having to be in the stillness, like to sit in the stillness, in the quiet, and acknowledge that maybe creating is a little harder right now, is still being an artist. Like, I think that is what being an artist is. And I was talking to my artist friend. She's a painter, and she was telling me, and we were talking about artists in the past and how Michelangelo and like Leonardo da Vinci, when they would create, they had years to create these huge bodies of work, right? Like, they had patrons and like they had donors, I guess, essentially providing their living so that they had the time and the process to create and to funnel and to sketch and to, examine their work very deeply and not just produce. It was like they very much had time to sketch things out and slow things down and try this and try that and experiment in order to get their final masterpieces of work. And so in this time, as artists and creatives, we feel like we need to be pushing and producing and doing work, when in actuality, we need more time for the quiet. We need more time to sit and acknowledge what we've done, where we want to go. And I think it's the essence we need to be allowing for the sparks to come through. We can't always be waiting also for that perfect energy to make something, but I think we can't be pushing either to be doing something. Like I mentioned, I was working on my social media strategy when I came up with the idea of Bratty Book Club. So it wasn't an intention of mine. So I was still doing some other sort of work. I was, trying to figure out other things. Maybe creativity wasn't coming for me so easily, but through that process, through sitting and doing, different kind of work, was how this other idea came up. And creativity in this season might look like more noticing, tending, or curiosity with intention. So what does that mean? How do we trust the sparks that come up? Like, how do we move through that then? So like I was saying, sometimes your next idea or the trajectory of ideas begins in ways that don't make logical sense, or that there's not a specific like point of start. Sometimes a concept maybe comes up, but it doesn't seem logical from like where it's came from. And I would say trust your own weird trail of things, right? Like you came up with this spark, or it came to you. So let that be the idea and what it was, write it down, or acknowledge it, create a voice note for yourself. It doesn't mean you have to follow everything that you create, but at least that gets, the juices flowing. It gets you thinking about creativity maybe in a new light, or just creativity in general if you haven't been feeling that spark lately. And so right now, my creative rhythm has had no clear direction. Although I've been working on projects and I have things that I'm working on weekly and now on a monthly basis, actually taking time to create has no clear path for me right now. There is no clear direction of how I'm moving on a daily basis. And I'm not looking to create something so concrete right now. I understand and I acknowledge that the time that I'm in is slower, is like chill. And although it's different for me to be in this kind of state, I'm okay with that. I've acknowledged that. I've accepted it. I have so much uncertainty in how I'm moving, but I am realizing that I'm definitely not lacking in ideas. Ideas are coming. I'm just not sure which ideas I should be following, and then that's why this conversation and this concept has come up about the spark. And there are other ideas that I have been excited about, but not enough, like the Bratty Book Club, for instance, or my body of work. Those two ideas have been ones that I really wanted to move into next. So it's a different kind of spark. It's not just like, I have these ideas, they're cool, maybe I can do this, and I wrote them down and I'm trying to acknowledge that I'm interested in them. Where the other two are, okay, this is amazing. Like, I'm really excited about this. I really want to move forward with that. And that's how I started the book club. And now I'm developing more intentional and direct concepts for my body of work, because the spark was stronger, was my gut feeling and my excitement towards it was stronger, and it pulled me in that direction. Although I still have these other ideas, I just haven't figured out where I want to start with them. But I want to share them with you because you'll see kind of how my mind works and like how I'm thinking about multiple things at the same time. I have ideas and I have kind of little excitements about different things. It's just trying to figure out where you're actually getting pulled to first. And I will get to these other ideas. I'm just not focusing on them right now. So these are some of the other ones that I've been thinking about. Creating a digital garden. Super cool. If you don't know a lot about it, I would say check it out and look it up. Learning touch designer, also This is more of like a learning thing, like learning a new program and like system. Also getting more into film photography. I've done a bit in the past, but I've really wanted to pursue that more intentionally in the future. So these are just some of the other ideas that I'm really interested in pursuing. They just haven't pulled me in that direction as of right now. But you can see that not having clarity or a specific routine down hasn't stopped me from creating at all, and hasn't stopped the sparks from coming up. Even though I've kind of been in this limbo stage because I'm not producing work, or a lot of work, I guess you would say. Because I am still producing work. I'm doing the podcast every week. I'm now going to be doing Bratty Book Club. Like, I'm still doing stuff. I guess it's just depending on like, this could be a whole other topic in general, but how you define creativity or how you define producing work, right? I'm just trying to listen to what capacity I have to do the work on the things that excite me and spark that energy, and follow that as much as possible when I have the energy to do it. So if now maybe the digital garden is like where I'm getting this new spark, or I had a new idea for that and I really want to pursue that, then maybe that's the direction I'm going to go. And like, I think that that's cool, and I'll just follow that until something else kind of pulls me in another direction, or I get another idea that I'm really excited about. None of this makes me any less of an artist. I think that if I actually continue to create and think about the things that I want to create, that is still creating, that still working, still putting intentions out there. That's what makes me excited to keep going and moving forward, even if it's slow. You don't need a direct plan, just a flicker of honesty and curiosity. Is there one thing that makes you feel even 5% more alive and excited to create right now? You're allowed to honor the pace and still call yourself an artist. It's like you can be excited about something and feel alive to want to create something, but also feel like you're in this slower pace at the same time. I encourage you to check in with yourself today. How are you talking to yourself? Are you giving yourself pressure to produce? Maybe it's time to allow some space to bring that spark back. I'll be back next week. We're going to be diving into creative identity and being multi-passionate, and maybe I'll get more into the concept of what we actually deem to be producing and creating at a certain level, our own expectations of what we feel is producing and creating, which I think is an interesting topic on its own, but I think really fits in with next week's concept. I wanted to remind you about Bratty Book Club. It's going to be live August 7th. I'm excited, and I hope that if you're into it, you'll join. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that this little chat could encourage you today and help you to ignite that little spark or little sparks of joy and excitement towards your ideas, and maybe thinking about this slow season, if you're feeling the same as me, to take some time to sit in it, and maybe these new ideas, this time of excitement, will come up slowly as you sit with yourself and with your work that you've done and acknowledging where you're at. I hope you have an amazing day and week. We'll see you next week. Keep creating. Bye.